I mean, we can see 100%.
Yeah, but you have my voice.
We have.
You just didn't have my
You
face.
didn't have all of the Nadine you were promised.
And now you have me eating cheese. So you're welcome.
We also have 100% more cheese on this stream.
100% more cheese.
Jamie was here to start with.
It's true.
Damn it.
I think we just implied that I'm 0% cheesy, and I'm okay with that.
Sad it's not me.
Chris, I'm going to start with you because you're pleasantly quiet. How are you? Tell us about you. Tell us what's life like.
Oh, I'm doing well. I'm happy to be back again with this wild bunch. It's good to be here, and I'm excited to share our group cohesion spread with you all and build some ties between characters, or at least some similar experiences that they can use to bond over.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, what about you?
Me, I am still feeling like I've forgotten something, but I'm sure I'll remember that it's nothing.
Wait. Here it is. You look pretty today. It was your compliment. You're welcome.
Hey, Michelle, how are you?
The aim was to give less panic, not more panic.
Flash traumatic memory here. I mean,
Yeah.
you know. Oh gosh, how is Michelle? Michelle's not bad actually. One of those dangers of hanging out with the cool kids is that every once in a while I get dragged into the middle of something. So my son and his chums have got me playing Final Fantasy 14. So that's been a bit of a binge. With the drive to and the hurricane, drive to and from Nova Scotia over the weekend, and then Final Fantasy 14. The weekend was a delightful write-off.
That sounds good. That sounds good.
So yeah, got to see my folks over the weekend, which was fantastic. Yay. And hopefully, to bore the vernacular, I'm hoping the regional governments don't cock it up. We're doing quite well right now. Any big difference for me? Nope, still an author, still doing live streams, still doing $5 dungeons, still here, still there tomorrow. So all good.
Great. Sam.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
Awkwardly finds himself on television.
I turned to my head and just smacked my nose against my mic. I was just like,
Oh, something's recording me. Oh, it's you.
When did that get here? Oh no.
I'm now imagining your response to finding out there's a mic in front of you, like cats respond to cucumbers being put near them.
Yeah, that'd do it.
Falls backwards out of his chair.
Yes.
Yes, but don't. Rude.
Yes, and how dare you mention it on
Live?
I told you that in confidence.
There's some things we don't talk about.
I've been good. I've been going to actual rehearsals in an actual show, which I've not done in a while. To be fair, and actually, some of the people I was mainly working with, I haven't worked with for 10 years, but the previous show we did was The Producers, where we're now doing Rock of Ages, where I'm playing Franz, who is the son of the antagonist, who's this sort of German property developer, I guess. Mm-hmm. But the guy playing Hertz, the father, was the guy who played I'm blanking on the name of the character, the director in The Producers. Mm-hmm. So he's gone from playing a very camp German to a very very stern German. where I am now playing the Camp German, where before I was playing I played just a bunch of roles in that, including one of his production team, which was also just incredibly camp. So it's been this sort of like lateral transition.
So you're saying your next role is going to be in the producers?
No, it's in Rock of Ages.
Rock of Ages.
No, the one after Rock of Ages.
You're swapping roles. So.
Oh, look, I'd play the director in the producers. That get to sing Hal myself is hilarious. But instead, I'm singing "Hit Me with Your Best Shot" as a Camp German.
As you should.
Which is also a great deal of fun. But I've been also doing a lot of looking at property stuff and feeling very adult in doing so, having to have serious conversations with people and just being learning what building inspectors do.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I think I tweeted about it at the end. I got to the end of the day. I was like, I did a lot of stuff. It was all really adulty. I play video games. I need to play video games. Yeah,
I know that feeling.
Yeah,
that's where I'm at.
That's fairly consistently me. Anytime I've been an adult for a while, I'm like,
teenager.
No, we're not doing that anymore. Not today. No.
Banish myself to the fantasy realm.
Yes, correct.
Mm-hmm.
This is how I end up doing a lot of streams. Speaking of, Nadine.
Speaking of streams?
I don't know. I realized we talked. Yes. We just kind of had gone off on a tangent of talking. Nadine, tell us how you are.
I am well, thank you. I am very well. I am Nadine. I am excited to be playing this game. I am excited to bond with you people.
Sounded vaguely like a threat.
That was.
We're going to become friends. If it's Sam's character, we're going to become friends.
Okay.
I was going to say, I think Sam's character is the one that's pushy about friends.
Mm-hmm. But yes.
No, we are friends.
Mm-hmm. Oh. There is
become. I don't. What?
Jamie.
That's me.
Hi.
I'm Jamie. What's the question?
How you going?
Oh yeah, I'm good.
Good.
I'm coming to the end of a really long contract. What for me is a really long contract anyway. Working in an office for 6 months, and so I spoiled myself and bought some studio gear, and it started arriving this morning, and I can't play with it because we're playing this, which is much more interesting and fun than building chairs, but also yay new things.
Mm-hmm.
This is
well, now you have something to look forward to.
And going in the other direction, tell us about you, the thing that you do, things that you do.
I'm a voice actor and director. You can find me on Twitter @MuffinManifesto, or on my website jamie-collett.com, or you can see some of the shows I've directed in the last year on streamedshakespeare.com. A bunch of professional actors got together and did Shakespeare over lockdown. It was fun.
Nice. Nadine?
I am a voice actor, streamer, shitposter. You can find me any_actor on Twitter, Twitch. Sometimes I stream, sometimes I shitpost on Twitter. And Descendants is happening. So check out Yanis Descending. It's a podcast.
Yeah.
And Descendants is the prequel. We'll go with prequel. And Jordan Cobb likes me, full stop. That is amazing Cobb, to me, and therefore I am in some of her productions. So please check out Descendants. That is it's being kickstarted, and it's coming out soon.
Yeah, amazing. Sam.
Hey, I'm also a voice actor and performer, and find me on Twitter @the_RealSavvyP.
Very good. Michelle.
Yeah, so I think I always get this confused. So I'm going to say it's there, and Michelle V69 is my Twitter, and you can catch up with me there. You can also catch up with me on my website, michellervalancourt.com. No, you're not going to be able to spell that, but if you come close, Google will sort the rest of it out for you. And 902PE Gaming right here on Twitch.
Amazing. I am Shauntelle B. You can find me on Twitter @Shauntelle B. I'm a number of things and a number of people, and some over the next couple of months, technically I'll be present in 5 streams, but one of them was pre-recorded. So it will be fine when I turn up in 2 places at the same time on a stream, because I won't be.
This is all a ruse. Shawnee is an interdimensional individual.
I knew it. I knew it all along.
We
I
talked
don't
about
appreciate
this.
this idea of it being fine when I can't watch both at the same time.
Yes, that's my problem.
All I can say is become an
That's what
interdimensional.
Sam, just become interdimensional.
Become an interdimensional cryptid, and maybe you too can engage in 2 streams simultaneously. It's really going to be you pick your flavor.
It's high school all over again.
Yes.
The pick your flavor bit or the interdimensional bit?
I mean,
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, correct. Otherwise, I have a link tree that just has everything, because it's much easier than me saying anything. Chris, I am going to hand the reins over to you. Tell us who you are and where we can find you also.
Hi, everyone. My name is Chris Geary. You can find me at Chris Geary on Twitter, and you can find me at Chris Geary in the chat. You can find me here on Tuesdays for this week and 4 more lovely weeks on this channel. And you can, that's Tuesdays in, our side of the world. In the future, it's Wednesday over there for the majority of people on this stream, and probably some of the audience as well. You all live on Star Trek time, as far as I'm concerned. So, you can also find me, right now, it's mostly just going to be Omens Rising things. So watch the @Omens Rising Twitter feed, or if you're on Facebook, you can find it at, like facebook.com/Omens Rising, or however they do the bit there. But you can find us there as well for any sort of announcements. We're going to be working on our draft of our beta set of rules, and go into closed beta testing sometime late Q3 or in Q4, depending on progress. So that's mostly what I'm doing. I have a couple other streams that are in the works. One got put on hold. Stories Retold got put on hold. So we'll wait and see. What happens there. Life sometimes gets in the way. But yeah, game designer, storyteller, person behind the scenes that is trying to cause all kinds of shenanigans and happiness for others. That's kind of my deal.
Awesome.
So tonight, what kind of shenanigans are we going to get into? We're going to get into some backstory and front story types of shenanigans. So we're going to debut, not debut per se. I think we played around with this on one other stream as well, but we're going to show it to you in detail. And we're going to take a look at the past, present, and future concept. So it's built off of cartomancy divination, like much of the mechanics in Omens Rising. For those of you that are unfamiliar, cartomancy divination is a divination practice that dates back to the early 1400s. First written record of it being used, I believe, was 1414 in Europe. It has the same root as tarot, though they are not the same. They do come from the same origin that comes out of the Middle East and India. So you'll find some similarities there. Some of the key differences is there is no, what do they call that? Inverted versus right side up, as there is in tarot. There is no major arcana, and I believe there's one fewer card in the minor arcana, if I remember correctly, as well. So you've got a few differences there. The suits have some familiarity to them. Cartomancy, playing cards actually have not always had the 4 suits that we are most commonly accustomed to, especially when it comes to things like poker and other card games. You can find pretty intriguingly across the history of playing cards, that some cards had different suits, acorns and other types of things, depending on the region of Europe. And this did also translate over into cartomancy of those times and of those regions. So there's a little bit of I should say, I don't want to say deviation because it's not derivative of, but there's some familiarity and some differences between tarot and other cartomancy type of divination practices. Cartomancy does have the I don't want to call it numerology per se, but it is a form of like number significance. And that is where you'll find a lot of the similarities. Some of the practitioners of cartomancy also intertwine it with astrology. That is not currently part of Omens Rising, though it may have to wait for a supplement that comes out after the core book, but who knows? Maybe during crowdfunding, we hit a stretch goal where we include it. We are developing our own form of astrology for this world, based on this world's mythos and sky chart with all their constellations and their calendar and that sort of thing. So it will be inspired by the real world, all three types of astrology that we have in the real world yet, or at least the three main types: Chinese, Vedic, and Western astrology, which has a variety of names, and I never know which one is the biggest umbrella for it. But yeah, so it's currently not part of our system, but it will probably be folded in a future state, as it were. That said, what you see before you is a pretty common spread in cartomancy of many sorts, past, present, future. You'll find this in tarot, you'll find this in cartomancy, you'll find this in some other types of divination as well. And what we're going to do is we're going to pull a card. And if we were physically sitting around the table, I'd draw the card and I'd hand it to a player. And then that player, using word association from the words and phrases that are provided based on the card that was drawn, they will come up with, starting left to right, they will come up with a past experience category. So a type of experience. And then everyone at the table will come up with a specific experience that fits into that category. It doesn't have to be the same experience, though. If people choose to make past experiences overlap where they have been there together, that's perfectly acceptable, but it is not a requirement. From there, they will then pass the card, and we will do it again for past. The first experience will be in the prime. It'll be something tangible, something that you might see or hear people talking about in just about any circle. So it could be about a birthday party, or who knows, a bar fight, depending on the circles in which you run in. Then the second one will be about the prime, the unseen. It could be about having your fortune told. It could be about, a time when you've encountered a ghost. I don't know what that category might be. We'll leave that to the cards to inspire. But the cards are inspiration for the types of experiences that'll be shared. And from there, we'll move on to motivations for the present. And part of the present, we will also determine our starting point for our campaign. Then we will talk about future goals. Again, each one will be a prime and then an eighth roll. So there will be one that's tangible, that everyone can see if they look for it, and there will be one that's a little less known. Either we keep it to ourselves, or it is something that is difficult to explain or inexplicable in and of itself. So that's the gist of this pattern. But since we are doing this virtually, I'm going to go ahead and deal a card, and I'm going to place it on the screen before you. And I will choose, let's just look at the overlay, and let's go, Nadine. Everybody's been waiting for Nadine, to see Nadine. So we will start with Nadine. And Nadine, you have the 6 of diamonds. Right. And as part of that, hold on, let me grab my other document. I should have had this loaded and I didn't.
Panicking. It's word association and all words have just left my mind.
Yes. Perfect.
What are words?
I'm just going to say, welcome to being a GM. The document you're looking for is the one you didn't open.
Exactly. So our suit is diamonds, and the words associated with diamonds, which we saw a bit of with character creation, would be like the element of land, the physical self, and then resilience. And to go with the 6, you have paths, purpose, and diplomacy. So those are your inspiration to do with as you please. And I'm going to type them into the Roll20 chat so that way you have them to see them. Actually, I'm going to copy and paste them.
Wow, I didn't realize how messy my desk was until I needed anything. Why is my camera on my desk? Okay, cool.
So they're in the Roll20 chat for you if you prefer.
Amazing. All right, elements of land, the physical self, resilience, paths, purpose, and diplomacy. So by word association, I'm looking at these words and then I'm building an event that
category of experience or event. Okay. It doesn't have to be a specific one, just a type of event or experience.
Okay. I'm just gonna go for the first thing that comes into my head. I read element of land. My head thinks sinkhole.
Oh, you're cherry.
And something to do with diplomacy. Yeah, big old sinkhole. Wow. Maybe the sinkhole like revealed something, whether it was what's the cool element that's tied in with the aether?
Oh, aetherite?
Yes. What if it revealed some cool aetherite? But it was in like a no man's land as such, so there had to be some form of diplomacy to figure out who or how much each area took. Yes.
Okay. So some sort of experience connected to a discovery that needed diplomatic arbitration, where the land fell away, either sinkhole, cave-in, something of that nature, where the land revealed this discovery.
Yes.
Who wants to go first with their experience?
Stop shouting over each other. Stop it.
Well, yeah, I'm just looking at this and just trying to figure out what to do with it. I'm running into my usual problem that because I don't know the setting, the words are just kind of hanging in a void.
Make it up and I'll make it fit.
I think my character, their first official like mission as a bodyguard-ish kind of character for a diplomat was involved in this sort of event. So yeah, I think and I mean the way Nadine described that particular event was sort of perfect. I think is that the Kisnoek were incredibly interested in obtaining some of the aetherite, and they sent the ambassador of House Bast to negotiate. I think because realistically, it probably was not in a place where the Kisnoek should have had much claim to it, but through like diplomatic means, they plan to acquire some for some sort of trade deal or something like that. And it was the first time that Morgan, my character, had sort of actually experienced all of that kind of like political wheeling and dealing. You know, he grew up ready to be a physical specimen, like he's a bodyguard essentially of both the prime and ethereal realm. But then it was like, oh, people do a lot of thinking and talking and manipulating, and I don't understand that at all.
Yeah.
However, I'm sure your cat Mischief does.
Yeah, I think.
Also, has House Bast got anything to do with Bastet, the Egyptian god?
It has more to do with the mythological cat like creature
Bastet.
than the god than a god of any sort. So
that was the association in my head.
Yes.
Like, oh, kitty cat.
Yeah, I mean, those mythologies are all tied together from my memory. It's been a while since I looked at it. But yeah, I think Mischief generally has a pretty condescending attitude towards. It's my familiar, but it definitely is like the grown-up in the relationship.
So you're saying your cat's a cat?
Yeah, my cat is a cat.
Cat is a cat.
Yeah. And I think like the actual physical experience, though, there was some I think you described like a sinkhole. I'm imagining that Morgan had to rescue someone from like who had not fallen, maybe got trapped in a crevice or something in the mines, and had the means, the correct ropes and stuff, and probably Mischief helped out in rescuing someone, and that actually gave the ambassador the leverage that they needed.
I mean, I'm happy to play off of that if perhaps Sophia painted something to do with the sinkhole and someone's potential exploration. Maybe that could be a kind of a linky link.
Remind me, it's been a while, it's been a week. Do your painting predictions always come true, or are they the kind that can be like?
I think with everything in the future, there's always room for change. So there is always something that is going to hold truth to it. I was saying to Shawnee the other day, if the color yellow is going to be involved somehow in someone's exploration death, then that is true. The color yellow is definitely going to come up, but it may be because white paint and orange paint was there, you fell into a whole bunch of paint cans. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't, if the number 12 is going to be in there, doesn't mean that it's necessarily the number 12. It could be 1 and 2 or 21 or 3, and therefore it's 1 minus 2, things like that. So it's somewhat wishy-washy, but there is always an element of truth in the predictions.
But the people you predict their deaths, they do die. Like
everyone dies.
They die in that prediction. I can imagine someone telling Morgan, oh, this person predicts people's death. You can't just let them die and like trying to save those people.
And you'll always get everyone dies.
Yeah. I love it.
No, they do not need to connect, but they can. They just don't need to. So
it's all using the same prompt, essentially.
The same prompt,
cool.
Different experiences, and they just need to be related to the original. So that way, think of it like when you're sitting around a table telling stories and someone tells a story and you go, oh, that reminds me of a time when. There should be a connection where the story that you add makes sense to have come up.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, yes, you said number 6. That means the color green.
I'm just gonna.
Was it a ghost train?
Oh no.
And Sean Connery was involved because it's always 6 degrees of Sean Connery.
There you go. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Train tracks, ley lines. Welcome to ADHD, folks.
I'm
if you're
following
feeling
perfectly.
if you're feeling a
sense to
bit
me.
railroaded. We all nod yes.
The ley lines? The ley lines are only visible to those who can see them. And even then, they're not, what is it? So the opacity, they're not opaque. So they would be probably somewhere in the 30% opacity because they are connected to this world and affect this world, but they are truly of the other. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm.
In the headspace of a train.
I am, yes, thank you. I think for Jondo, there was he'd been having this
I may have been also to stream. I'm sorry, y'all.
No. Oh, okay. Good, excellent question. Yeah.
Underground. All the things I said, you have them in captions, in theory. But what I said was, at some point, Indy was underground, following a ley line, and hearing the sound of a ghost train. To conclude. Sorry.
So I think Jondo had started to have this, I mean, essentially a recurring dream, but you know, a recurring dream for a reverie is a bit sort of, we might need to do something about that. And so talked to one of the people within his community that sort of specializes in speaking the language of dreams, essentially, and spends more time there and can generally interpret it in terms of, you know, get a bit of insight into destiny and prophecy, and was essentially told, you need to go find that. That's a thing you need to go find. But it's not here. So you sort of have to, and so in tying into this idea of paths and purpose was sort of, it's like, all right, it's just not here, so just going to continue to go, and hopefully it gets clearer as he travels. But I'm kind of liking the idea of Indy coming from one way and John coming from the other, and just being like, I didn't expect people here. Oh, hi. Do you hear that? It's weird, right?
What's the recurring dream of?
It's kind of like it's not in focus. Mm-hmm. So his best guess is that it's like a landmark. But he's not sure if it's like if it gets clearer if he gets closer, or what's causing it. But it's clearer now than it was to begin with, but it's still sort of like searching for, and so it's essentially part of why he is very much into like new beginnings, because it's just like, I just needed to experience stuff. Gotcha. I want to experience as much stuff as possible because I don't know what the trigger is for this. So let's go.
Okay, I think I'm the only one who hasn't gone yet. All right, so I think what I want to do is that I've said the way he sort of rejuvenates and recovers is by passive observation. And so reflecting on the world completely as an observer. So I think sometime in his travels, he perhaps came upon the long forgotten ruins of a village, something that was left over from the decimation, where perhaps a star had fallen, a meteor or something, and punched a hole into the land itself. And it's, for him, that is the extremes of both the ethereal meeting the physical, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think for him, it was not any sort of, it was as much a moment of the reflection about how do these things, paths, purpose, intersections, because he himself is so heavily tied to the aether, it is inextinguishable from him. It's one of those things they question about the interrelationship between the aether and the real and all of that. So I think for them, that experience was just that moment of looking at this completely, yes, it's a sinkhole, but only insofar it was complete, it's completely artificial. It doesn't belong here. It is a symptom of something that was completely out of balance, that had no purpose, that was a complete failure of some kind of interaction between the real and the unreal. I think that would be, for him, what would be the most meaningful there.
I dig it. So now for the fun part. Nadine, you get to choose who goes next.
Sam.
Okay, Sam. Same words and phrases, but now the category of experience needs to be something from the ethereal, something that is intangible. As a category.
You sure can.
Muted.
I'm not, but I didn't really say anything.
Thinking.
I was.
I can't think.
Oh, I thought you were talking.
Sorry, I saw your lips moving and wasn't hearing
moving.
sound. So
I was I mean, I literally said a category, but I was looking away, reading the list of prompts again. Land, physical self. I think in terms of the ethereal, it's unrelated to the whole thing.
All of them. Remember, you don't have to use all of them.
Sure.
Just whatever inspires you. And
it can be entirely separate. It's just another thing. I think there was an event because the ethereal has like storms and stuff like that. Is that
the aether storms are part of the decimation, and presumably they happen in the aether as well, but people just don't experience them because they live in the prime.
Right, and they've just stopped, or have they sort of just calmed down to the point where it's more manageable?
They've calmed down to the point that they are a much rarer occurrence, and their intensity is not catastrophic, but they do still occur.
Right.
What are they? If you are standing on the ground looking at one, what is it?
It depends on what form it chooses to take. It could be a tsunami that instead of crashing towards the shore chases ships and destroys them.
Tornado.
It could be tornado. Heck, it could be Sharknado.
Okay. Yes. It's Pinkie Pie gone evil. I remember now. Yeah. Okay,
yes, it's kind of like chaos magic, but think of like global climate change type of catastrophes.
So what is the resilience part that brought that to mind? It's sort of literally weathering a storm, essentially. Like not necessarily something like as you said catastrophic, but more sort of like, we do need to strap everything down and sort of ride this out. And when we are talking now, not the prime experience, the ethereal experience, is that literally sort of experience like in or during the ethereal, or not necessarily in the prime, or?
It would be, because it's an ethereal experience, we're talking about something that is either difficult to explain, it is something that is unseen. Basically, it's not as tangible. You can't just grab it and pick it up and show it to someone like you could a piece of aetherite, right? So you can play loose and fast with that. It's just more, it's the stories that leave you with as many questions as they do answers.
Right. Okay. I might then phrase it more as being like it's still resilience, but more being swept up in the storm, not necessarily just weathering it. So swept up in a storm would be the category, I guess.
Interesting.
I have one. It was gonna be quicksand, but you said storm, and that made me think dust storm. I think whilst Sophia was like traveling from one city place to another, they got hit by like a sudden dust storm. And with their many layers of clothing, it's fine. They kind of just set up a tent that used to this kind of weather. But as they were doing so, I think they had this experience where it was like, I don't know if y'all have got ever like really high and it's just time does not exist and it's gone on forever and ever, and yet you look at your clock and it's only been like 10 minutes. It was
ADHD does the same thing.
It was one of those moments where just time just stretched, and they could feel it, just like a rubber band being pulled too tight. And the source was the ground, whether it, you know, those who live in the prime and don't really care about the aether would have said, oh, fumes from geothermal, whatever. But it felt like to Sophia, the ground was angry, that they had almost like stepped on angry land. And so they spend like a few years in this place trying to balance this angry land. And by balance, just having a conversation with. But there were no words, there was nothing tangible to take away from that experience. It was a dust storm, it came and it went. So yeah.
Dig it.
Now I have to remember what the fuck I just said.
The good news is we're live streaming and you can watch it, and you can watch it on the VOD.
I don't listen to myself.
Now I understand why you needed us to see you.
Remember, she only comes here to look at herself, not listen to herself.
True.
Know it.
I have one, I think. Being indecisive, there was a time when Indy... So, random Silent Walker information. The way that the Silent Walkers communicate is through telepathy. And that telepathy is a communication form that works with the aether. So there is an aetheral language. Sort of. Chris, help. But yes.
So, yes, the first language of this world is a sentient language that is made up of many of the sigils that you will find across the game. They are the core elements of all languages. Think of it like the root language from a linguistic standpoint. And then the rest are all derivations off of that. And it is of the aether itself.
Yes. So the Silent Walkers use telepathy instead of communicating verbally necessarily. But what I'm imagining is at some point there was... Indy was traveling alone, but then they started to hear voices from elsewhere.
Ooh.
In the sense of, I know someone somewhere, something is communicating with me, but it is not here now, and I know that they're not here or now because there are no other Silent Walkers in the vicinity.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I don't know how much of that Indy would have understood, as in how much of that made sense, but Indy is one of the... I've sort of made 3 pathways of Silent Walkers, and the one that Indy is discontent with now. So that, I think, ties into what's in my head. Whether or not that makes sense, but it is the aetheral, so yes.
The $1 million question, what did it say?
The first thing that popped into my head was open the book. So I'll go with
That's
that.
it?
Yeah,
Okay.
that was it. Indy has not opened the book.
Dig it.
For Shauntelle, in an effort, sort of wanting to experience the new, and would just follow up on, would hear, a rumor of something, and would just be like, cool, that's my next destination, let's go. But essentially heard of this community that was essentially experiencing almost like waking dreams, but they're steadily becoming more like waking nightmares. And sort of when he got there, found that there were already people essentially trying to help, but were very much helping in the prime, being like, it's okay, it's just dreams, don't worry about it. You all need to just trying to like calm everyone down. And Shauntelle being a person who prefers to sort of prefers action after to a degree of contemplation, then be like, no, we just need to start doing. Instead went, no, this isn't working, and goes into the dream and confronts this entity to tell it to stop. Whether it and a little while later sort of came out again, and then it stopped, and then just sort of but then didn't really stick around to talk about what had happened, just left. Just immediately was like, I'm going, bye.
I dig it.
I want you to know that my notes said John Doe punched his dream. Good for him.
It wasn't his dream, it was someone else's.
Punched a dream. Good for him.
I had in mind like a rival, and now I might want to change it. I might suddenly want to change it.
Del, do you want to go?
I'm still struggling, so if you got something, go.
Yeah, I got some. The first thing I imagined when Sam said something about storms was a big blizzard. And I think the ethereal and personal tie-in, I think Chris, do you know around what age the Kisnoek received their tattoos and their bond to their familiar?
Let me double check. I do believe it's
There's nothing.
It's a little flexible because it's based on when they are ready to, when they've demonstrated prowess with the Aether. They are then they then go through a ceremony to be assigned their familiar and get their first tattoo. But
okay, let me just check some.
Because it started as a like coming of age thing and morphed into more of a coming of Aether kind of thing. Like once they are ready to use the Aether effectively, or they demonstrate they can use the Aether effectively, they're then given those two elements.
Yeah. I don't want to describe this in much detail, but I think because of some of the predictions around destiny for Morgan, and because he had a connection to a spirit of the first star from a young age,
which is represented by the dragon.
Oh, that's really cool to know. I had no idea. This was just something I wrote down for our guides prompt last time. Was that I wrote here, a spirit of the first star of the Kisnoek appears to Morgan with the coming of dawn or dusk. It is full of love and positive energy, but provides no answers, only questions.
Love it.
And I think, yeah, because despite him always, and I think like probably this is, reactionary in response to that. Like he was always told that he had this deep connection to the ether and whatever. And as such, like the ritual of tattooing was sort of forced on him earlier than he would have liked. And yeah, we don't need to go into much detail there, but a child getting tattooed is like not a super pleasant experience for him. And
and it's not a common experience either, so
yeah,
he wouldn't be looking around and seeing like that happening to his friends.
Exactly.
So,
and during his tattooing, there was an enormous blizzard snowstorm that hit, probably unseasonably.
mm-hmm.
And of course, his experience of it was in the ether because it's where he met Mischief, this great snow cat,
Mm-hmm.
this white cat. But that it sort of permeated from the ethereal into the prime as well, and a great snowstorm hit wherever he was, I guess, in the
I put in some of the concept art for the Kisnu X tattoos into the Discord for you.
Yeah,
But no,
amazing.
Everyone at home saw my reaction. It was
that reaction was beautiful. I loved it.
Yeah,
I loved that reaction.
So they're tattoos that are like very pattern heavy, but that have animals imbued in them. Yeah,
it's so fucking dope.
They're very, 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 very cool. I don't think he has any face tattoos, but I think like the full body style is probably very close to.
Very spectacular.
Yeah, including like a big cat head probably in the center of his chest.
There you
go. Yeah, and so there's a whole thing about, so that like there are certain people especially who would have been involved in the tattooing ritual who believe that somehow Morgan brought about this snowstorm or whatever.
I dig it.
And whether that's true or not, I don't know.
Dude, this game, this fucking game.
You right there? You right?
I'm having a joyous time. Okay. I'm having a joyous one.
I'm just saying, like, some of our artists are just bad ass. So
stuff is so cool.
Chris, I got very worried. I thought you were just gonna say bad. I was like, Chris, what?
No.
On stream. Chris, wait till we're off stream before you start.
I sing the praises of those who work with us because look,
so cool.
Gaze upon them. I know, chat, it's not fair to you and to those of you in the VOD, but
chat,
you'll see them soon enough.
Chat, it's worth the wait, man. It's worth the wait.
Oh, and when we launch Patreon, all of our Patreon supporters will be able to see different sneak peeks. And at one level, we're still working out the dollar amount. You'll be able to see all of the concept art as it rolls out. So cool. In advance of everyone else.
So I think
did I stall long enough for you?
I think so. So let's give this a try. So one of those things about this character is that his health is absolutely iconic. You want a king of diamonds. So it actually says, literally people come to him finding out how to live well. And along with that is the fact that they are an explorer in a way. And they're a doer and following this sort of mentally ethereal lighthouse, if you will. So I think what happened is this is that time when it didn't work right. Knowing perhaps pride got in their way, perhaps an unwillingness to disappoint, went out in a storm that probably knew better than to do, counting on those ethereal moments that they're just perpetually with to allow them to do the one of the things you learn to do if you for real life wind up working in Antarctica at one of the bases is learn how to do a blizzard search, because they have had people lost inside the compound, unable to find their way back to one of the buildings in a blizzard and freezing to death inside the compound. because that is the intensity of the storms that sweep through this area. So sort of riffing on that idea, oh, I never get lost, I'm an explorer, I have this tie to the ethereal, I'm this paragon of health, nothing ever bothers me, it's just a short distance, I can do this. No, they couldn't. And so that is that moment that taught them to not try and be so larger than life, perhaps fixating them more in the present as their preferred time to live.
I have a question for you. Would you, going off of this explorer aspect, would you like to lean into that Antarctic kind of experience? The Scoliari are a culture that are very much about intellectually exploring, and they live in the northern ice shelf, and they have crafted entire cities out of ice and maintain them. And it could be when exploring that culture that
I
if you
like
wanted
that.
to go in on that.
Yeah, I like that idea of perhaps, you know, the famous quote from Bill Gates is success is a poor teacher. It convinces smart people they can't make mistakes. And so yes, exploring this new culture well out of their natural element and make every possible mistake and wind up, perhaps, hey, in fact, I like that because it ties into an answer that it provides a potential answer that I don't have. There's someone in my life closer than family. This connection is deep and enduring under bonds, 8 of clubs. I still don't know. Perhaps it's the person that rescued them. I like that. Okay, I can work with that. Yeah. So the Scholari, you say? Grab my note.
Yeah, and I'll go ahead and type that into chat for you, so you have the spelling of it.
Please, yes.
And that skull. I always leave out one of the I's.
Scoliari.
There you go. Scoliari. And if you have any specific questions about that culture,
I'll dig into. Is it one of the ones that are in the list we got?
I think so, but I can also put you or get those questions over to Marissa, who is the author of it, and make sure that if there's anything, who would be working there.
Yeah, who would be a likely person to be out in a blizzard? Forget.
Okay,
that is the most obvious answer. You know, make a complete happenstance.
Yeah, I will find out.
All right, that's cool. Yeah, but I think that is the one that sort of resonates the most for me as that sort of comeuppance moment that everybody needs in their. Yes, that comeuppance moment that everyone needs to actually turn them from a bystander into a hero.
Excellent. So now, Sam, you get to choose who gets the next card.
Ooh, Jamie.
Oh, that's me.
All right, let me draw that card. And what do we have here? We have the 7 of clubs. Oops. And clubs. We have the element of fire, also the ethereal, and the ethereal self and passion. And I'm putting this into the Roll20 chat. And 7 is luck, chaos, and happenstance. The 3 things everyone needs for a fun night out.
So we got the element of fire, the ethereal self, passion,
luck, chaos, and happenstance. Now, what we're defining here is our motivation for where we are in the prime when we begin our journey. So before Jamie can really answer this, we need to decide where we want to begin as a starting point. So I'm going to give us a couple options based off of some of the things that you guys have brought up at last session, and then also in your past experiences. We can start out, well, we'll just kind of work in reverse order. We could start out in one of the university cities of the Scoliari, in one of the most northern points of the world, on the northern polar ice shelf. We could also potentially be somewhere in the bright desert that's known for some wild storms, including heat lightning of severe intensities.
My favorite kind of lightning.
Is that a thing that I have no idea what it is?
Yeah, when it gets too hot, you actually see electrical discharge in deserts.
Yeah, wow, that's so cool.
And the difference here is that for a fantasy world, we just up the ante, and so it actually is the intensity of actual lightning.
Yeah, that's rad.
So we can
imagining lightning, but upside down.
Yeah. We can take a look at Malachi Port, which is going to be near one of the great Great Plains areas, and next to one of the landmarks of the world called Anvil Rock, which is in some way, shape, or form connected to the origin stories of the world. And last but not least, we can find ourselves in one of the fishing villages or small towns of the archipelago, which was originally 3 very large, almost Australia-sized islands that mostly sunk.
Almost Australia-sized.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got
basically small
soup's
continents.
Cold.
Mm-hmm.
Soup's hot.
Mm-hmm.
Great Plains.
Great Plains, and a very a large bustling city,
and big city,
yeah, or kind of more quaint, smaller villages and towns, a village or town of the archipelago, which is where the Veil Callers are originally, or not Veil Callers, the Weavers are originally from. The Veil Callers were nearby at one point, but they have since, their island got teleported during the Great Cataclysm.
That's all. Because we're also nearby there.
You're out to the chemist, and then suddenly the whole damn continent's missing, right? I mean,
yeah, and then breaks into 3 pieces. So
it happens.
It happens more than we'd like it to.
Yeah.
I mean, once is more than we'd like it to. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I heard where you were going with that, Shauntelle.
The Kisnewek are in one of the star forests near Malachi Port. I just want to place everybody. The Silent Walkers, they move a lot, and both of you are wanderers, so I didn't really place you next to home for that reason. And then the Reverie are in the northern part of the continent that's just below the northern ice shelf. So it'd be really close to the Scoliari, and actually not too far from the Bright Desert either. But that's the desert I imagined that Sophia was wandering amongst.
I don't have too much of a preference. Nadine is cold right now, so I don't want to go to the cold. But that's the only reason why I'm like, Yeah, I don't have too much of a preference.
I like the sound of being near Anvil Rock, but that's also just me. That's not even indie, that's just me.
Shauntelle wants me to
Tell me about it,
more
Sydney
and more
Sider.
lore. So.
Shauntelle wants more lore. That's basically what's happening.
I'm sort of vaguely leaning away from in the city because just because our other game has been very city based for a long time, and I feel like I've done a lot of that recently.
I mostly picked the port city because it's a major stopping place. And so that would be where you start. That doesn't have to be where our journey goes.
Yeah, that's fair.
And that would be defined by the motivations, which you get to shape with the category of why everyone's there.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're just looking at a starting place.
Yes, this is just where we're starting the journey.
Yeah.
Instead of everybody shows up to a tavern.
Ultimately, I don't have much
Yeah.
preference. So.
Yeah, I'm happy to roll a d4.
Yeah, they all sounded rad. So
yeah,
you gave 4 excellent options. And we all went those.
I feel like we're gonna need something added to the mechanics at some point, Chris. That is just like the ADHD mechanic. If you have ADHD, this is just what you're doing now.
I mean, tables are great for that, right? Because you can be like, here's
Random
a list
tables.
of things you can pick from, or just roll a dice, or just draw a card.
Or we could do that. I mean,
should we draw a card?
So is anyone particularly against the idea of starting in a Mos Eisley-esque small part of the desert, just big enough to be on a map, not big enough to qualify as urban?
I got stuck on Mos Eisley, but yeah, that's
You're
fine.
welcome.
I don't know what or who that is. So it's fine.
Okay.
It's fine.
It's a Star Wars reference, but
Yeah.
And I've watched that shit.
I know where you're coming from.
The quote is a hive of scum and villainy.
Same.
So smuggling. It's a smuggling port, is what Mos Eisley is.
I see.
So this would be a caravan, maybe a desert caravan hub of some kind, perhaps with the equivalent of intermodal to move from airships to desert caravans. Like I say, just big enough to be on a map, not really big enough to qualify as a city. Yeah, an over-important town.
Yeah.
That gives us some warmth for Nadine. And makes a decision and doesn't wind up a city.
I like it.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
All right then.
Sounds good.
Border town.
So,
yeah.
that desert is where the first airships were actually created.
Makes sense.
They're completely different than the current ones. They were more hovercraft, but they were the first ones that were created using channeling the energy of the lightning from the desert to power them. So we will go with that.
It was called the Bright Desert.
Yep. At least by some culture at some point in time.
Mostly because dull deserts aren't very interesting.
Hey.
The more and more I look into place naming, the more and more I find out that they're actually pretty boring names. They're named after
the only reason
people or basic elements of stuff.
The only time places have exotic sounding names is because you do not speak the language.
That's what I'm finding. Yep.
Yeah.
Welcome to Long Road. We have a long road.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Sahara just means desert.
Right.
But then you get the ones where there's been like multiple layers of misunderstanding.
Yes.
So you get like the mountain.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, that's.
Do you mean
is that Kilimanjaro? I know there is one.
one.
I know that it is something is mountain.
But it was just like it's like 4 languages worth of mountain.
Yeah.
But when people say the Bush Tower, and I'm like, oh, the tower.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We do that a lot in the U.S. So the La Brea tar pits are the tar pits because La Brea means tar pit.
Yeah.
Sierra means snowy mountain, so the Sierra Mountains are the snowy mountains.
We actually just have the Snowy Mountains.
Yeah.
So like we do that all the time. We take a word from another language and then we're like, other Americans might not be smart enough to know what Rio is in Spanish, so we're going to call this the Rio Grande River and make it the Big River.
I still find the Los Angeles Angels the funniest one. The Angels.
Yep.
The Angels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're terrible about that.
I can't get away from it, Chris. The element of fiery passion and luck and happenstance.
What did you do with Nadine's character?
Hey.
Sorry, it has to resort to Nadine at least once.
It was all consensual, and we agreed not to talk about it.
Anyone and everyone's character, right? This is about all of our motivators.
Equal opportunity.
Yeah, I was just going to say this cast, those words, this isn't going to end well, but let's go.
I just want to make sure that I understand correctly. This is about something that ties all of our motivations for being here together.
A category that everyone can create a public or prime based motivation.
Yeah. And I mean, like, obviously, like, there's millions of ways to skin a pig. I don't know why that was what came.
Do we have to?
No.
Can we not?
Can we
choose?
That's just
is that the category
that came to my mouth?
Category is
That's not the category.
Thank you.
The category is romance, though.
Okay.
I like it. So romance is the public reason, or something connected to romance.
Yes, something connected to romance.
Is the public reason why your character showed up in the trade city of, I don't know. I'll think about the name while somebody is coming up with their reason.
Let me look at my character sheet because there was something.
So in the name of in the tradition of discussions thus far, it'll be called Oasis, the Oasis Oasis, which is just the local term for oasis. So it's the Oasis.
Okay, that works.
No.
So spell that for me.
Oasis.
No.
Oasis. It's OASIS. OAS.
I know how to spell oasis, but
if you just spell it twice, you've done it.
Don't do it.
You're welcome, Nadine.
I do have
the Bush Tower really pisses me off. I'm like, what do you think Bush means? What do you think it means? The Bush Al Arab? The Bush Khalifa? What do you think we're putting in front of it? The Bush Tower. I love the Bush Tower. I love your house. The great house. Thank you, welcoming me into your house.
There's a sports group team in Australia called the Parramatta Eels, which means eels. They're the eels.
That's my favorite team. The eels.
The eels. I have a connection. When you're ready.
Do it.
One of Indy's lovers asked for a memory, and so Indy is here to find a good memory for their lover.
Very cool.
That's so cool. What?
There you go.
Wow, yeah.
Because silent walkers are telepathic, so how are you going to communicate memories? You just hand them the memory when you have it.
That's dope.
Because now I'm
it will degrade, but you can
thinking
hand
of
it to them.
A bazaar that caters in memories.
That is literally the premise of Strange Days.
No. Sorry, I wasn't talking about that. But what Sam said. No. That doesn't
let's
feel
put that one
good for Silent selling. We don't sell memories. What? I mean, we might sell memories, but not. You have the memory. It's your memory. You share the memory. You don't. Ooh. I'm gonna think about that one.
Well,
think about that one. Culturally, that feels
weird. There's a black
weird.
market for everything.
Culturally, that feels strange.
Well, sharing is trading, is it not?
You meet a shady character like, hey kid, you want some parental affirmation?
I haven't got enough money for that shit. Go on.
Very rare.
You can't afford that one.
Is it sincere or is it one of those facsimiles?
Oh, shit.
As a minimum, it's been degraded from reuse.
Ouch. Do you know what kind
we all
of
just
memory
revealed our childhood trauma real quick.
You're welcome.
I muted my mic so I could do that in private. I don't know what kind of memory it is.
Okay,
what were the
Sure.
words involved? Hang on a second. Luck, chaos, and happenstance.
Yep.
And you said that there were lightning storms.
This desert is known for them, yes.
This desert's known for them. So Indy is looking for some kind of a natural experience that, because I know that when lightning strikes certain things, different chemical reactions occur. So Indy is looking for some kind of a reaction that occurs with lightning to create a good memory, something that is art, because that is essentially Silent Walker art, sharing memories. Yes, Nadine.
Fuck you, Jamie, for putting this one on me.
I put it on everybody.
Did you see how he enunciated body there?
Actually, if you need a minute to breathe, I think I can go.
Go for it.
Yeah, I think this one is going to leverage completely on luck, chaos, and happenstance. The reason that Anytan is in town is apparently they're supposed to be here, which is to say that one of those lightning storms hit the airship they were traveling on, and so they're stranded here. They weren't supposed to arrive here, but the vessel was damaged. And this, the emergency landing at the nearest safe port, this is where they wound up. And his compass, their compass has been spinning ever since. So apparently they're supposed to be here for a while.
Jamie's like, where's the romance?
Where's the romance?
I knew it. I could feel it.
No, it is purely luck, chaos, and happenstance.
That's not the prompt, though, right?
But you don't technically. I don't think you technically have to.
It just needs to be something that's
it's
tied
capital R
together
romantic. I like that.
That, but we never know where it'll lead.
Interesting. Okay.
They are meant to be here. That in and of itself.
That is romantic.
Is a romantic notion.
Like I said, capital R romantic. Yeah. I mean,
yes.
I'm trying not to be boring because it's chaos and luck and happenstance.
Good luck.
And romance.
And romance.
With a large R.
With a very large
or small.
Does that mean pirates? Arr.
R. Only large R's here. You heard me.
Yeah, I did.
I don't know, man. Sam, you go.
I think for Jondo, it's the not like the end of a romance, but there's a person who is sort of like they're both these two reverie who sort of like have gone out to sort of on this sort of journey that, and they occasionally sort of meet up, and it's sort of like it's part rivalry, part sort of inspiring the other, part just good catching up with someone you know, and just part hot and heavy. And then it's like the two of them were like had arrived in this place, had spent some time, but the other person is like just left. But for whatever reason, Jondo didn't feel that same sort of you need to start moving again. So it's like, all right, well, until I feel that, I guess I'm here. So they've just parted ways after there.
So would it be so? Did I get this right? They are Jondo's rival, friend, and lover.
Essentially, I had put them down as the rival, but then after the aetheral experience, I was tempted to replace them as with like aetheral nightmare entity as a rival. But this other person was previously in that position, I guess.
Okay.
I've called them Tage Raven. So I'll put that into chat.
Thank you.
All right, I think I figured out mine. I feel like I haven't quite figured out the connection for Sophia, but it definitely has something to do with romance. And I feel like right now they're feeling a bit numb and detached, and they haven't painted in 5 ever. So they are going to the middle of the desert because they're like one of two things. Either I'll get hit by this lightning and it will spark something, or I'm going to paint a big old nature mural, and that'll do something. They're kind of putting themselves at the at risk of the elements in order to spark creative joy.
So kind of returning to that place where time stretched and there was that deep kind of ethereal experience to try and recapture something again.
Yeah. I'll write that down because I'll forget it.
I know there's a longing for something.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know the core thing of mine, but not exactly who it is, which is that I think Morgan's charge, the ambassador, is here to deal with some sort of kidnapping or hostage situation.
Okay.
I haven't decided yet whether that's someone's lover, maybe their lover, or another great family's lover, or it could be, and when I say it out loud, it sounds like it should be the obvious answer, but I'm not sure that it is. So the Morgan's childhood friend / romantic interest is the ambassador's daughter, Calliope. And I guess if they're the one that has been kidnapped, there's like a double romantic tie there. But I don't know if that's interesting to me.
Fair enough.
For it to be so personal to Morgan rather than to the ambassador.
It also could change. Well, it changes the motivation significantly. Yeah. So it's important. It's important for you to decide what you feel like is going to be best for a 4-session
I feel
plot
like
arc.
it's too personal for it to be Callie. So
Okay.
I think it's more interesting for them to be. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say the catch would be, if you will, is if it is that personal, then we know what the 4 episodes are about. He's resolving that story.
That's what I mean, and that also feels too not open. I don't know, which is fine, but like not what I'm interested in. I think I'm interested in seeing the character as their investigative, practical self, not as their like not very good at handling their emotional self.
And
I
understand.
Yeah, and so I think it's like it's in fact it's so the head of House Bast has a lover who's gone missing, and they're following that lead.
Okay.
Yeah. And whether that's an official lover or not, no, let's make it an unofficial, like someone they shouldn't have a relationship with, so they've been asked under the table to deal with this situation.
Cheeky.
Because it would be bad news in lots of ways. We should give this ambassador a name, given that they're present.
Okay. Now, Jamie, who will you give the card to that hasn't gone yet? So that would be Shauntelle or Michelle.
I'm gonna flip a coin. It's Michelle.
All right then.
So with the same prompts, Michelle, I want you to think of a category of a type of motivation that someone may not want public. It could be mystical and ethereal, but it could also just be extremely private.
And it has to tie to the keywords: element of fire, the ethereal self, passion, luck, chaos, happenstance.
Those are for inspiration. It doesn't have to tie directly to them, but
no, but try and involve if I can spin it that way.
Yeah.
All right. And as I recall, there is an element of classic astrology within this system, literally, the even reflected in the character design, where, you're what sign are you born under, for lack of a better way of putting it.
Yeah. If cultures adhere to that, yes.
Yes. Well, like, there's obviously some attention paid to it in some way.
Absolutely.
So how about we, in this little desert fantasy Burning Man town, we find a merchant with a mistress, and that mistress has just born a child, and that child has been born under a very auspicious sign or celestial event. And the reason Etan is involved in that is this is probably going to get very messy because of what that sign represents, and fate and all of that. So their tendency is diplomacy and making action happen for good.
So, okay. So we have
It's happenstance. It's the aether. It's the elements of aether and luck and happenstance blending together. 3 otherwise innocuous events stuck one on top of each other that start making everyone else go, right up there with the player character pulling a Joker and as their first card.
That works. So what we're going to do here, so for others to have their own personal motivations, would it be fair to say that there's some element of like prophecy that's involved that also is not like in the prime, it's not something, I don't want to say hush hush per se, like the prophecy itself is problematic, but the circumstances surrounding it are not something that people might speak of in polite conversation.
Yes, and I would even go through, there's always that tendency for people who are living through a period of prophecy to think, prophecies happen to the future, it can't possibly be me.
I dig it.
So we have that collision of the needs of the present being blurred with the hope of the future.
I will work on that child's prophecy for your character. One thing that is easy enough to note is the compass probably led you to that place and started spinning once they found the child.
Yes. Or at least found word of, or something like that. I don't
once they came in contact with the child's prophecy in some way, shape, or form, whatever way that is.
So even if Anton hasn't met, the people involved, they are aware of the circumstances that are unfolding.
Yeah. Got it. So for the rest of you, some sort of prophecy that maybe even unbeknownst to your character is not something that you may talk about in public per se, but it has a motivation for being here or taking action while in this place.
What? So something aether rule.
Prophetic in some way, shape, or form.
Prophetic and private.
Prophetic and private.
The name of my next tape. Not that I have a first one. Just okay, so I think my connection, whatever my connection is that I still haven't done, the whole point that we are currently separated and it's not good is that they ask me the do not ask me question, which is, can you please predict my death? And I said no, and then the aether went, fuck you, and now I know.
No, I can't do that, except this one time when I was trying to forget about you and made a painting.
Exactly. So I pink elephanted. Someone said, don't think of a pink elephant. And I thought of a pink elephant. And now I have that painting, and I'm trying to do everything to forget that painting.
And what is its connection to this place?
Because the kind of the prime thing of like literally throwing myself into the elements of like either the lightning will pop me or I'll paint another cool painting that hasn't, because I can't paint since.
Gotcha. So this is what caused the blockage. I get it now.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you for connecting the dots for me.
Too easy. It's happening in real time for me in my head. So you're on this journey with me.
I got that down.
Got mine in my head, at least. I think.
Who wants to go next?
I will go next. Oh,
No,
no.
if you've got something, please feel free.
Okay. The staff, Silent Walkers carry staves. In that staff, through the staff runs a piece of technology that will essentially tilt the staff in the direction of a natural disaster of some kind. The element of fire being one of the things that we're looking at. Indy is headed in the direction of that. There is something to do with fire that may or may not become a problem, and since Silent Walkers head toward danger, and from the outside that might look like they're causing it, dunno, yet don't know, but they always get there just as something bad happens, so who knows. From the inside, that's not necessarily what's happening, but maybe it is. I'm not telling. Indy's headed in the direction of what may or may not be a natural disaster about to happen.
Take it.
So it's like you're waiting to get onto like a boat or something, and you see a Silent Walker is also waiting to get onto that boat. You just go, nah.
I mean,
I don't get to travel that much.
I'm
see what's going on now is that you're going to have two in this party.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens there, because
I'm just gonna say I just sort of had the flashback that Babylon 5 episode. Yes, if seeing one technomancer is considered a terrible omen, and then another one walks by, and then another one walks by, and the main character looks at his aide and says, "I'll be in my quarters with the door locked."
Yes.
So we talked before about how John Doe had finished spending time with Tage, but they didn't plan to arrive to this place at the same time. They just sort of did. They sort of both had this is where we need, this is the direction we need to go, and then eventually sort of nothing else had really happened. So Tage was like, "Oh, it was just for this then. Okay, I'm going to continue on." While John Doe was going, "No, feel like there's more." And then suddenly everyone starts, just as the next day, everyone starts going on very excitedly about this prophecy that seems to be happening. And he's like, okay, I'm going to involve myself with that. And he just
that thing is now my friend.
Yeah, I'm gonna get involved in all of this, and just proceeds to do that.
Picks up baby. We're friends now.
Hello, baby.
I'm your godfather. What? I don't even know you.
The baby can speak already.
Mother, who is this? But mother.
Hello, man in white.
I think very similarly, upon arriving here for other business, rumors of this prophecy reach Morgan, and as someone who has had prophecies said about them, is not keen on this child having to deal with that bullshit, and so wants to
wonderful.
Yeah, Morgan wants to protect this child from the kind of experience he had as a child, as a prophesied person. In some way.
I dig it. So now we have Shauntelle. And you get to begin our discovery of what the future may hold. You have clubs again, this time the ace. So your prompt, if you choose to pursue it, will have the same elements, fire, the aetherial self, and passion, but this time it's coupled with, oh goodness, new beginnings, birth, and the unknown.
Oh.
And if I can find my mouse, I will paste that into Roll20 chat. I said, oh goodness, because it ties together very well with what you've been talking about.
Should we take a break before we
Oh,
go
yes,
further?
yes, probably.
Yeah.
We've been going on for quite some time. I just got into everything.
Yeah.
But we definitely should take a break.
Yeah, I hadn't realized how long we've been going. I was just like,
So when we return, folks, we will finish up our connections here and sign off for the night.
All right, sounds good.
go ahead and ask that question of Chris now that I've managed to unmute everything.
Good.
Oh man, that was hard.
Listen, you're
We're
doing
back
a great job.
with
okay?
a question.
Do members of a great house like use that name, or is that reserved for, like, would they be called something best, or?
I don't know that that's been determined yet. I will ask.
Okay.
It's a great question. And I will put our writers on the spot.
Mm.
I mean, they're not as
Because,
on the spot, are they?
like to
Because
do
they're not
that.
here. I feel like I'm on the spot.
Well, yeah, but I'm
asking
messaging
Jamar,
them.
he's not here.
That's true.
It's not.
True.
It's not the same kind of panic. And it should be, to be fair, like just.
Let's get them on the phone right now.
Hey, you wait.
Hello?
Hey, Jamar.
I'm going to put you on speaker.
Don't swear. You're on live television.
All right.
Shit.
So,
Oh.
I have now sent off the message to Jamar. We'll see. I mean, Jamar's probably not sleeping. So,
No, not at all.
and Jamar's one of those sneaky folk that always set themselves as offline on their Discord, but are never really actually always offline. So, we shall find out.
Sometimes that's me. Sometimes not always.
In the meantime, Shauntelle, a category of a future goal, a tangible goal that's connected to new beginnings, birth, the unknown, fire, the ethereal self, or passion, or any combination thereof, or derivative.
You said tangible, and I feel like I'm just going to say it anyway. The spawning of a new era.
Okay.
For 10 points. I don't know much pop culture, but when it does happen, it's weird.
Just immediately thought that is another way to say prophesize baby.
It is, yeah.
Born of a new era.
Yes.
I don't know if you remember this, but Jamie's character, Morgan, during their character creation spread, they witness the return of that which was lost as well.
Yep, that's what they've been told.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the Kisnoek put a lot of like importance on that, and Morgan sees it as like, oh yeah, I'm good at finding things and retrieving things. Like, he takes the most literal prime version of his destiny and is like, oh yeah, I can help you find that. I can help you do that. And it's absolutely not what was meant, but it's how he deals with the day-to-day of being prophesied. I think
I can get behind that. So what tangible goal, or how is that your tangible goal for the sporting of a new era?
Sorry, I lost audio.
Oh.
I think I can hear you all again.
Yes.
Regaining audio.
Regaining audio. Oh. Nope. Oh no. Hello?
We can hear you.
I mean, I have levels. I can hear everyone. It's something happened on Jamie's end.
I think so.
In the meantime, does someone else have what their tangible goal might be?
I have an idea. So, with all this, talk of prophecy and whatnot, Jondo, given how much he likes the new and like new beginnings and getting things started, wants to basically do just that, but doesn't have like a clear idea of what that is. It's essentially this is something important's happening. I want to be involved in getting it underway, but how and in what direction, I don't know.
So basically, the goal is to spark something new, and the rest of it is like the Magic 8 Ball saying, future unclear, or results hazy at this stage.
Like it's not that he's not concerned with what direction it will take. It's not like whatever happens, it's fine. I just want to. It's just sort of like he doesn't know enough yet about the situation to sort of at least gets a sense of the situation and then goes, cool, let's go that way. But to initially sort of like work out what's happening and then help drive it, or like not in the sense of directing, but like help motivate it forward essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So the initial thing is working out what the direction should be, or would preferably be, and then sort of going from there.
I like it.
I have one. It's weird.
Good.
So in the last playtest, Indy's the thing that was sort of the goal for Indy then, because I have it still on my character sheet now, was that they were not living in the present, which is what Silent Walkers are supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that they necessarily achieved that. So now what they're trying to do is experience birth. Not of them necessarily. What they're looking for is the birth of something. So is there a new crystal somewhere? Like experience that happen. Like if lightning strikes the ground and something forms, that is the birth of that thing that exists now. If they need to, I don't know, midwife someone, that is literally the birth of something or someone. So it's that. Yeah.
I dig it.
This is Prime.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Tangible goal.
I think it's not one that's on there like the front. It's not in the back burner. It's somewhere in the middle. They want to, if they're kind of, they've always seen themselves as like the balancing of like, this is life exists, wow, amazing. Sorry, I got to tell you about the death aspect of it. They want, just once, they would like to predict something to do with someone's life rather than their death. So they're going to see if they can do that, whether that is finding different resources to paint with, or perhaps even delving back into weaving.
I dig it. Jamie, before you lost audio, my question to you was what you had described part of their tangible goal for the Prime, or for this prompt, or was that just more backstory related?
The thing with the child.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, for the sporting of a new era. prompt that you were given.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think Morgan does everything they can to run away from the prophecy that they'll
Mhm.
be part of returning that which was lost, and so that's not at all in their tangible goals.
That's fine. I just wanted to clarify and not overlook that if that was something that you were like trying to tell me and I missed a hint or something.
No, sorry. I think I, as the player, am very interested in it. I think Morgan, as the character, is like avoiding at all costs being part of their own prophecy.
Okay.
I remember something we talked about prior to streaming is like prophecies that are not really to the advantage of the person they are prophesied about. As something, I think Nadine, you said this as you wanted this like as a
fuck prophecies.
Yeah, exactly. And this character is very much in that.
Yeah.
In that realm. Because the prophecy has never been anything but a hindrance to him personally. Everyone else thinks it's great, but like he's like, stop making me do things because you want me to.
Yeah. Go find the thing, Morgan. Go find the thing.
Yeah. That said, I think mysteries intrigue him, and so this whole thing about the unknown. I think Michelle, you mentioned a crashed airship, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think Morgan wants to investigate the crashed airship.
Not so much crashed as forced to do an emergency landing and it just wound up here, right?
All right.
So what are the odds of getting struck by lightning? Pretty much zero. And it happened to the airship he was on, and coincidentally we wound up here.
Right.
So yeah, that was sort of how I was going. But if you want to make it outright, it didn't quite make it to the town and there was a short walk involved. Yeah, sure, that's fine too. I think it's just as compelling.
Yeah, there's something about all this unknown that's like that. Like the mystery of why this airship is stranded here.
Yeah.
Is very interesting to him. And whether it's tied into the ambassador's investigation of the disappearance of the matriarch's lover or whatever, that's probably pretty interesting too. But
I dig it. That leaves Enton. Am I saying that right? Enton?
I'm double checking I actually have to double check the pronunciation, but it's Enitan, I think.
Oh, Enitan.
Yeah, it's actually Yoruba, and I need to double check the pronunciation on it.
Okay, fair enough.
I think one of the things that's important in this character is fairness and equity and making the best possible outcome for everyone involved. That's part of their reciprocity thing. And so just trying to figure out how to work that in with those words. And I'm just drawing up a blank, because if there was a place they would want to be going, from an emotional standpoint, given the circumstances they find themselves, it's almost compulsive. They would be hoping for the best possible outcome for everyone. But that's one of those phrases you have to be really, really careful of. I want the best possible outcome for everyone. Okay, you realize this is a Chinese fairy tale, right? And so yeah, trying to figure out how to blend that all together. I think it has to do something with that confrontation of the unknown, that everything that has led up to this point of where they find themselves, embroiled in this, unexpectedly in this, like I say, just big enough to be on a map, not big enough to be important, little corner of a desert, which was probably not the actual intended destination, and then suddenly in this remarkable circumstance of dealing with, apparently a prophecy unfolding before their eyes, where they are actually, in some way either affected directly or embroiled within its confines. And where does that all take I think it is that sensation of just trying to, no matter what happens, that the best possible thing happens for everyone. But I can't get any tighter than that.
No, that works. That works. So Shauntelle, you now get to choose who will have the last prompt.
Ooh. Everyone's had one now, correct?
So you have the power.
I have the power.
You can choose anyone to go again.
I'm a boop it back to Nadine.
I knew it.
All right. What
Okay, so
is an aspirational goal?
Oh, aspirational.
Category. So.
Category is facing fears. // outside the comfort zone.
Gotcha. So.
Okay. I'm going to mull on mine first.
Whose character has a goal for facing a fear or pushing their boundaries in some way that sets them beyond their comfort zone? Something they may not speak of to everyone, but internally, it's what they hope to accomplish.
I already said, hey guys, let's get in touch with our emotions, okay?
I think Morgan really wants to make friends.
Morgan!
Like good friends. I think part of the problem with traveling a lot is that, and by nature being a very jovial person, is that he has a lot of very surface level relationships and hasn't had a chance to connect to people and make friends. And he wants that.
Be friends. Bodyguard wants someone who truly understands him.
That's it.
I love it.
I've got like Whitney really Houston sentimental music going on in my head right now. Oh, it's from Mortal Instruments. Ew. None of that.
John Lotus looks up and goes, I don't know what, but I'm needed.
I don't know. Is it weird that I want to say that Sophia needs to like face their fears of death?
It is weird. How
the way you said that, it was more frightening than I think anything Sophia's experienced.
I'm deaf.
No, I mean, being around it all the time, I'm guessing that Sophia would have to compartmentalize thoughts of their own death.
Yes,
and
what happens
the
when
day
the painting is yours?
painting, exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking, Michelle. Like, what happens when one day you're painting and it's your death? Like, that's all gotta always be there somewhere.
I think it's semi that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the one thing that they're actually okay with. They're like, yeah, sure, I know I'm going to die. That's fine. However, they're having like a touch and like run away from a loved one, because it's okay telling other people that they're going to die. In their mind, it's like, yeah, sure, that's my job. To have someone actually close to you and have someone really, you know, mesh with you and close to your heart, then say, okay, now I want to know. And you're like, no, I don't know how to do that. What the fuck? For them to face that, oh, it's not just other people that you can distance yourself from, it's everyone is going to die, including those that you love. So I guess it's a bit wishy-washy, but for them to reconcile with death.
I dig it.
I've got mine. So part of what's happening for Indy is they're trying to decide between a leadership position in the future, leadership position, or a historical position, one of which is the future, one of which is the past. It's for them coming to terms with the idea that maybe they're thinking about it the wrong way, and that they might be doing it because they think they have to rather than because they want to, and what that means.
I think for Chundo, it's slightly similar to Morgan, I guess. Not quite exactly that, but in that same sort of wanting something a bit more real, as it were. Because a lot of his life deals with dreams, which particularly to the referee are real, but it's for him it's often always new, and which is exciting, and he wants to learn, he wants to experience as much as he can, he wants to go. So it means going somewhere, getting to know people's stories, and then leaving, which he loves, but there is part of him that does yearn for something a bit more permanent and stable, and that might be a relationship, like with people, or it might be with a place or with something, but something that is just a bit more grounded. Almost like an emotional landmark, almost, I guess.
I think for Enitan, it is going to be this idea that if you stare at it long enough, history repeats itself. And so, and you know, the past, the present, the future are all sort of a continuum. And so the idea behind them having gotten lost in that storm in their past was that was one of the few times the lighthouse went out, for lack of a better way of putting it. And so I think if they have an inner fear, it's that so much of what they do is based around the lighthouse always being on to guide them. What if it goes out again? Then what? Is there going to be that kind soul in a storm to save them this time? And what does that look like? Is the storm figurative or literal, or yeah?
I dig it.
Yeah.
And that, dear folks, concludes our party cohesion spread.
So we're jumping straight into play. Let's go.
We'll be jumping straight into play next week.
Can I ask, Chris, the couple of things we haven't addressed on the character sheet, just out of my interest. I assume the connections and impairment thing, that's to do with
That's
play.
Instead of health points.
Yep. And then, did we do something with communities and bonds? And there's a little rival box there as well.
So the communities and bonds is a place where you can list. So, for example, the person from your bonds, Calliope, right?
Yep. Yep.
That's one person that can go there. You can add in any specific other connections that you might have. The ambassador might be another good person to place there. People or communities that have some sort of significance to your character as the character develops. We prime the pump, but we don't really dictate beyond that. If a rival comes out of it, great. Not everybody wants to play with a rival. But we do encourage any of the different tools that help tell stories, and rivals are definitely one of those tools that should be available. So John Doe has a rival, and that makes perfect sense for their character, or for Sam's character. And but it doesn't necessarily make sense for everyone at the table. So I leave that in the hands of the players to decide if that's fitting.
Okay, cool. The only other one was the presence box. Is that just about a description of the character?
So presence, we use the term presence because your character's self takes up more than just their physical description. So it's how they take up space wherever they are. What is their presence like when you are around them? So how they make a person feel, the vibes they give off, as well as how they look or what they're carrying. All of that, it's supposed to be all-encompassing. So yeah, kind of like a first look at them, but also a first impression to go with it.
I can read what I've got for Indy.
Oh, that'd be awesome, yeah.
I mean, it's not gonna help you in physical form, but Indy's presence is comforting. A footprint in warm sand by the ocean, the light of a sunset glinting off thawing snow.
Cool.
Indecisive.
So about a 5'8".
Yeah.
That's what I saw. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice thing to be.
So it can be any and all of those things, whatever is important to sharing who your character is with those who want to know those details, and to keep track of that there.
So if they
you
stop
can
being
also
comforting,
include
then...
physical attributes if you wish as well. I'm sorry, Shauntelle. What was that?
Oh, I was going to say, I just said if they stop being comforting, I'll remove it.
Yeah, fun. All right.
Those are all excellent questions.
I have to give that some thought. It's a very different way of looking at a character I don't really know well. It's going to be very interesting to figure that out.
Yeah, and it's also something that can be you can start with the physical and flesh out the rest as you play them. It's the character sheet is a living document.
Yeah, it should be always. Yeah.
Oh my god, I didn't feed it. Is that okay?
Did you?
Did you water it at least?
I did.
But not after midnight, right?
Oh.
What time zone?
GMT, of course.
There you go.
There is only one time zone.
And it is Eastern.
Yeah, that's kind of that piece there. Instead of health points. We have connections that when they are harmed, they have impairments, which will affect the different checks or challenges that you're a part of. However, because it is a game similar to or inspired by a lot of JRPGs, I mean, you really just respawn, right? So what's the point of actually having permadeath if it doesn't serve the story?
Mm-hmm.
So in Omens Rising, characters' permadeath needs to be consensual and make sense in the story. So that's...
At which point it doesn't matter how many Phoenix Downs you have.
Correct. Because I used a bunch of those on both Palm and Porum, and it did nothing. I tried everything to undo the petrify. It did nothing.
Omens Rising, everyone.
That was a Final Fantasy reference, one of the old ones.
Yep.
Poor twins.
Yep.
When you have your Final Fantasy, that's my favorite bit.
The last one, that last fantasy though.
The very
I
last
have
one,
14 when there's lost one. Anyway.
It's not the same person.
How many...
Don't, Shawnee, don't.
I realized what I started and then stopped myself. Whew, I know better than that by now, surely.
Nope.
Should we just should we sign off here? Should we do that?
Yeah, no, this is a perfect time.
I guess
Chris,
that's it.
Start us off with the goodbye. Say goodbye.
Oh,
Say goodbye. Say goodbye, Chris.
Goodbye, Chris. No, my name is Chris Geary. You can find me on Twitter at Chris Geary. You can find me here in chat at Chris Geary, and you can also check out more updates about Omens Rising on Twitter at Omens Rising. We are always churning, very slowly in some cases, but always churning away at this game, getting it closer and closer to a finished product so it can get to your hot little hands. And I want to thank each and every one of you and thank everyone in the audience. We hope that you love this game as much as we do.
Michelle. Say goodbye, Michelle.
What was that, sorry?
Say goodbye,
You want
Michelle.
me to say goodbye? Okay. Oh, goodbye, Shauntelle.
Sam, say goodbye.
Goodbye. It's been a lot of fun. It continues. I was excited to see what the next stage of, I guess, we've done character creation, then we're doing group creation, and it was great. It was fantastic. I love it. So looking forward to meeting the actual characters next week. And I guess next thing to find me in will be Unlawful Disorder tomorrow.
Yeah. Say goodbye, Nadine.
Goodbye, Nadine.
Say goodbye.
Goodbye.
I was talking to Jamie then. Say goodbye, Jamie. So, I thought you were going to actually fulfill the brief, and then you didn't. Continue. Sorry, there's more.
How dare. I was saying goodbye in 3 other languages, okay? How about that? Because I was being inclusive. No, but that's fine. If you...
Well, do it.
Shit. Au revoir. Sayonara. Wiedersehen.
Good job. Jamie, say goodbye.
Oh, well, goodbye.
Audience, goodbye.
Good night.
Goodbye.
Thanks very much.
We'll be back tomorrow
audience.
for Omens Rising.
Bye,
Omens
audience.
Rising. We'll be back tomorrow for Omens Rising. We'll be back for Unlawful Disorder.
Yes.
Goodbye, everyone.